Okay, hey guys, this is Nino Valmonte of IPC. Uh, Thanks very much for taking the time out to register and join this webinar. Welcome to IPC's Think Out Cloud's webinar series. Um, Today we'll be talking about what is known as the world's worst cybercrime, and you'll find out why in a few minutes. This is distributed denial of service or DDoS attacks. Today, I'm joined by our Director for Technical Operations, Mr. Sherwin Torres, who will be answering questions with me after this presentation. So thank you very much for waiting, and let's begin. Okay, so first a little about our company. IPC is first and foremost a data center operator. We started out as such in September 2005, and we were acquired by EPLDT in 2012. So from being a data center operator, we ventured into enterprise cloud services when we became a Salesforce partner, the first and only in the Philippines back in 2007, and as well as a Google for Work partner. And from there, we ventured into many cloud services, including DDoS mitigation. And our third, I guess, line of business today is our professional services, wherein we're able to do implementation and consulting work for Salesforce and Google for Work customers, as well as Internet data center and infrastructure as a service implementation, and remote hands as well for data center and network services. We are proudly an ISO certified company for quality and information security. And Today we're proud to say that we are I guess the only DDoS mitigation service provider in the Philippines. We've been doing this since 2007, and it's been 8 years of extensive experience battling DDoS attacks from around the world. Um, uh, this is why we're able to conduct educational sessions such as this. And without further ado, let's tell you more about DDoS. So there's nothing wrong with your screen or the video. This is actually the first slide. I know you've seen this page um, before, and it's definitely not new to everyone. This is what happens when a website is experiencing a DDoS attack. So what happens next is pretty much, revenue loss, customer distrust, definitely a tarnished brand, and altogether just bad business. But what is DDoS? Um, for those of you who are still unfamiliar, it comes from the root of DDoS is denial of service or DOS. So a DOS attack is simply a hacker or a malicious entity driving internet traffic or malicious internet traffic to your network using a single system. But I guess to cut the definition short, DDoS is distributed denial of service. So meaning an orchestrated attack or an orchestrated multitude of DOS attacks happening all at the same time, targeting a single target. A distributed denial of service attack is an attempt to make a website or web service unavailable to its intended users, generally by suspending the services of a host connected to the internet. Um, what we need to remember is that because it is an attack, that means there's an attacker. It means that there's someone behind this attack. There's someone that's actually targeting your website, your company, your network with the purpose of hampering your business operations. So how bad is it? In the US, there is an organization called the Federal Financial Institutions Examination Council that actually requires all US banks and financial companies to have a DDoS mitigate or DDoS attack contingency. So it includes the assessment of overall IT risk, monitoring internet traffic, and preparing incident response plans and mitigation strategy for activation in the event of an attack. It's pretty much business continuity. Locally, there is no such organization in the Philippines. As far as as far as we went or we've gone, is the Cybercrime Prevention Act of 2012, which includes these provisions. The first three of which all constitute a DDoS attack: illegal access or hacking, data interference, and device misuse, which I'll tell you about in a little bit. Now, who are the potential targets? Um, any company that uses an online service or application or a website to generate revenue and to generate business is a potential target. So it spans across a lot of industries and resources and devices as well. I'll show you a breakdown of what are the most hit industries on a global scale. Now, why are they doing this? Why is this happening? Um, Activism is a chief motive. Social or political protests targeting the world's largest and the most prestigious brands, or even governments, and or even churches. I mean, the attacks on the Church of Scientology a few years ago was the first time a religious group was attacked by a DDoS attack. We've seen this a lot, extortion, especially in the online gaming industry, continuous DDoS attack unless a ransom is paid or an objective is met. So we've had customers receive anonymous messages during an attack and asking to deposit X millions of dollars to a particular bank account, or else the attack won't go away. So we've been able to help customers with those kinds of problems as well. Cybercrime, cyber espionage, the reasons may vary. It could be personal, could be a competitor or a disgruntled employee. Um, a lot of times, of late, we're seeing DDoS attacks being used simply as a decoy for other cyber crimes. We've seen, I guess, a DDoS attack happening, and while it's happening, a hacker is at the same time attempting to penetrate the network to gather confidential data while everyone's attention is focused on the attack. So it's the reasons for these attacks vary. And of course, there are those that just are experimenting. These are These range from people who have got nothing better to do, or even students who just learned how to do it and just want to take on the challenge and gain some sort of prestige. So yeah, it's the people who do this may or may not have a good reason to do it, but the fact that it's there and it's now increasingly easier to do than before makes it all the more dangerous. So when we talk about business continuity, what we normally prepare for are the physical disasters such as typhoons, earthquakes, civil unrest, um, and we normally businesses would usually prepare in terms of having um, office seats on standby, and the facilities on standby. But what we often fail to consider are the existence of virtual disasters such as DDoS attacks. So when cyber attacks happen and our company is threatened with going out of business, it is a disaster. Albeit one that no one in the public sees. It's normally something that we would experience internally, but it is a threat and a disaster nonetheless. As mentioned earlier, the potential impact of a DDoS attack is it ranges from decreased customer satisfaction, loyalty, and trust, which is the hardest thing to get back up from. Loss of, I mean, revenue loss is something that money is something that you can earn again fairly quickly, but the deterioration of a brand and reputation is really something that has no price tag. It's something that a company could spend millions on, um, and even to no avail. And that would normally result in low employee productivity and morale, and just going out of business altogether. So this is just a snapshot of the threat landscape. These are the different industries or the top industries that are being attacked. Of course, glaring really here is the gaming sector, which generates all of its business and revenue through its websites. And with the rise of software as a service, software and technology is also um, a, a huge target uh, to date. Aside from gaming and software, you'll see everyone else, which has the percentages may be low, but in real numbers and in terms of revenue lost or money spent to recover, surely these sectors have all spent a lot of money and lost a lot of money because of DDoS attacks. So second quarter 2015, not much has changed in terms of the top 10 DDoS attack source countries. Um, More than 50% of all DDoS attacks come from China and the US. Uh, Primarily from China, close to 40%, and all the other countries follow suit. Some more statistics. Largest recorded network layer attack was at 253 gigabytes per second. So imagine that volume of internet traffic burrowing into your network with a 20 meg pipe, you will not be able to withstand it. The longest recorded network layer attack lasted more than 2 months. 20.4% of attacks last more than 5 days. So imagine your business, having to close shop for 5 days. Think about the revenue that is lost and all the opportunities that are lost as well. On average, targets are hit every 10 days. That's how often DDoS attacks happen. And yes, as mentioned earlier, over 50% of DDoS attack traffic originate from China and the US. And looking out into the future, with the dawn of the Internet of Things, this will definitely introduce more vulnerable systems than ever. Imagine hackers being able to gain control of desktop computers, and in the future being able to control everything that's connected to the internet, like your refrigerator, your toothbrush, or whatever other device that's connected to the internet. Of course, bandwidth attacks will continue to flourish, and DDoS will be used increasingly as a smokescreen for intrusion. This is already happening today. Web server exploitation will still be rampant, and the targets will be widened to include more industries as businesses grow online. So how does it work? How does a DDoS attack work? So we'll explain in a short animation that we've come up with. So mouse. So here you have your website that's connected to a local ISP here in the Philippines, which then broadcasts your website to the internet and the rest of the world. So what we have are your legitimate users, your regular website visitors from all over the world and from the Philippines accessing your website. So what happens is there are what we call zombies or bots, which are computers that are being controlled by hackers and can launch an attack onto your website at the hacker's will, bringing your website down and affecting your business. So let's remember that the objective of a DDoS attack is to overwhelm. So it doesn't really matter what you put in front of your network. A DDoS attacker will always try its best to find ways to overwhelm that machine and enter your network and bring the house down. So what happens within a network? So let's say that these are your web servers. So first, your IP router fails with a high packets per second rate. Bandwidth is saturated, taking your ISP offline. That doesn't work. The edge router fails. High PPS and access lists consume the CPU, and there's no bandwidth. Your firewall will also fail. Um, you may be asking yourself, I have all of these protection appliances installed. Are they of no use? Aren't they any good? Well, they are. They are good to have. But the problem is it's just delaying the inevitable. Because when your firewall fails, then your web farm is hit, the memory and resource limits of kernels hit, and you're no longer serving web pages. By the way, if you have any questions, just type them into the the chat area. So how can we protect our organization? So there are many layers of in which a protection can be placed. Um, Normally, it's good practice to put your protection as far from your application as possible. Eh, if you have many layers, so much the better, which is why we are an advocate of DDoS mitigation services, because DDoS mitigation is a cloud service and therefore it's located in the internet and it doesn't sit within your network and it's able to protect you better from outside. So how does DDoS mitigation work? So here's your attack that's currently happening. There are what we call scrubbing centers, which are located all over the world. We've partnered with three of the top 10 um, DDoS mitigation providers in the world, and thus we're able to use their international scrubbing centers. So, what happens here in these inside of these scrubbing centers? Well, this is where all attack traffic and legitimate traffic are routed. And from there, the traffic is filtered and only the legitimate traffic is allowed through, and thus filtering out the attack and the malicious traffic, um, and your website doesn't go down. Now, the problem here is that some of our customers were saying that, well, why? Well, this is well and good. Our website is protected, but the problem is our legitimate users um, may feel some latency because you're rerouting their traffic or their access somewhere else in the world, and instead of local website visitors going straight to your website, they have to be routed to a scrubbing center located somewhere around the world. Uh, and Our solution there was to come up with local scrubbing. So IPC has put up its own scrubbing center here in Manila in its own data center facility in order for us to serve customers in a way that no other DDoS mitigation provider can possibly do here in the Philippines. So local traffic is now routed locally, does not need to go around the world, and filtered locally, and therefore latency is much, much better, and which provides an overall better experience for your website visitors. So what's in a scrubbing center? You can liken it to a water purifier, because a water purifier provides multiple filtering techniques to give you clean and pure drinking water. But in this case, a scrubbing center provides clean and pure internet traffic. So uh, we employ state-of-the-art hardware equipment, proprietary software applications, and more importantly, 24 by 7 DDoS mitigation experts who've had tons of experience doing this and are able to spot an attack and alert customers immediately and rectify the situation. DDoS mitigation is a cloud service. So what does that mean? So in the same way that you would define what a cloud service is, a cloud service is Cloud computing is the way by which IT applications, platforms, and infrastructure are delivered to end users over the internet as a service rather than as a product. So, what's the difference between a service and a product? Again, the analogy with water. So, water comes out of your faucet at home. It's, you pay for it on a monthly basis based on what you actually consume, and that's a service. That's your water service. And on the other hand, is you purchase water by the bottle, whether you use it or not, you paid for it already. So that is a product. So you may liken it to what Gmail and Microsoft Exchange Server is. Exchange comes in a box. You buy it, and then if whether you use it or not, you paid for it already. With Google Apps, you're able to just use the number of licenses that you need and pay for it um, either on a monthly or annual basis. So similarly, DDoS mitigation is a cloud service in the sense that uh, there's a huge difference between DDoS, well, an anti-DDoS appliance. When a hardware vendor says that we have an appliance that is able to mitigate DDoS attacks, you can be 100% sure that there are limits, and the bandwidth capacity is obviously limited. Customizations are limited. Um, the amount of traffic that can be mitigated by an appliance usually is no more than 10 gig, and we've seen attacks of definitely more than 10 gig, and an appliance will never be able to handle that. Um, I guess what's the more important point of this is that a DDoS attack is not something that is automated. I mean, a hacker may opt to change the route of the attack or attack you from another angle, and that's something that an appliance will not be able to counter or predict. And again, the objective of a DDoS attack is to overwhelm. So an appliance can simply be overwhelmed, and if you don't have the scalability of a DDoS mitigation scrubbing center, then an appliance can only just delay the inevitable. And like I mentioned earlier, IPC is partnered with three of the top 10 DDoS mitigation service providers in the world. These are Akamai, Nexus Guard, and the number one, which is Encapsula. You can check out this website if you want to know more about them. So why in-country mitigation? There's a number of reasons. Chief of which, as I mentioned earlier, is because of latency. Um, IPC is definitely carrier neutral and peer with all major domestic telco providers, allowing better latency of internet traffic. Local data routing means improved service. Another concern that we've seen is data sovereignty for highly regulated industries such as banking and financial services. It's very important for them that the data is kept in country, and so this is the perfect solution for those sensitive industries. Also for government, this is something that is important to them. So through local peering, IPC is able to mitigate attacks in country and route clean traffic back via local internet exchanges. Now, although although IPC operates a local scrubbing center, this doesn't stand alone as it is part of Nexus Guard's international network of scrubbing centers, allowing for redundancy and failover options. So this is a global infrastructure with a local focus. So attacks coming from other countries are scrubbed and filtered in Nexus Guard's international scrubbing centers. Now, traffic that's coming from the Philippines, that's what we are that's what we're mitigating. So scalability, IPC, as you know, we operate our own data center facilities and network infrastructure, allowing for expansion of resources as needed. Definitely faster response time. Call our 24 by 7 hotline and someone is sure to answer. And we can mitigate attacks in a matter of minutes. And obviously local support. So we said here that IPC's customer support professionals are available around the clock and can speak four languages: Filipino, English, business, and technology. A bit of marketing there. So let's take a look at a few case studies. I'm featuring a couple here. So this is a leading Hong Kong bank which complies with stringent international standards and requires 100% uptime. I mean, who doesn't require 100% uptime? Um, the situation is that there is a network layer attack on the bank's online banking website, preventing thousands of global transactions per minute. And at the same time, the attack is followed by an extortion message ordering the bank to pay a ransom with the threat of a continuous attack until the bank pays up. So what is the solution? A simple DNS change to redirect the network traffic to a scrubbing center. From here, the attack traffic is filtered, allowing only legitimate traffic to reach the bank's website. The change takes less than an hour to implement. And this is not, as opposed to actually rectifying something or taking your network offline uh, and what we call black holing. Is a much better solution is to keep your website online and still serving your customers and simply just filtering the malicious traffic out. So the blackmailers' extortion attempts came to a halt as the attacks failed to impact any of the bank's online services or customers. Here's another case study, this time on a retailer, an online shopping website. So a leading omni-channel retailer's online purveyor of hand-picked toys, baby gear, and nursery furniture. The situation: the online retailer was rattled by a series of cyber attacks on the busiest shopping days of 2014, the holiday season. Um, the nature of attack is on again, off again, which brings down its site almost regularly. The cost of an in-house DDoS solution can mount to hundreds of thousands of dollars. So the solution was that the company opted to subscribe to a DDoS mitigation service as opposed to purchasing an anti-DDoS appliance. This way, CapEx is eliminated and the subscription's SLA guarantees service quality and round-the-clock customer support. It's very important to note the SLA because an appliance again is something that cannot give you an SLA. With DDoS mitigation services, you're guaranteed um, a certain percentage of uptime, and that it's highly important for businesses to consider outsourcing a business continuity contingency such as this, especially nowadays. So the results, zero downtime due to DDoS attacks, enhanced online shopping experience for the clients, and fewer concerns about DDoS attacks and its associated drain on company resources. So this is pretty much the end of our presentation. Over time, DDoS attacks can only become more sophisticated and choose a solution that can adapt. And this is definitely something that we've learned over the years. And we urge you to consider this and consider protecting your network. We live in a day and age that wherein the internet is the lifeblood of many businesses, and this is just one of the threats that we can encounter over the internet. And IPC is definitely here to serve you and make sure that we grow with the business and continue our research into these kinds of threats and find solutions that will help you stay online. So with that, I'd like to thank you very much and open the floor to any questions that you might have. Let me okay, check this. All right.
Hi, good morning.
Okay.
Yeah,
Let me check for some questions here.
there's a lot of questions.
Okay. All right, guys. So it's time to answer some questions. Okay. So here's one question here. As an online gaming industry, we depend on the flow of our connectivity. I would like to know some of the DDoS attacks that occurred. Okay, if I understand the question right, you're asking about the different types of DDoS attacks that usually happen. Um, okay, so from what I know, the DDoS attacks are broadly classified as a volumetric attack. There's an application layer attack, a protocol attack, and I guess the most common of which are volumetric attacks. Although we've seen application layer attacks happening more and more. Okay. One more question. Is the hacking to some Philippine government website which happened mid this year also considered a DDoS attack? Okay, if you're talking about the government websites all of a sudden having a different look. This is actually what we call website defacement. So they're not a form of DDoS attacks. Normally, when a DDoS attack happens, the website simply goes offline. So when you see a website that looks differently and has that V for Vendetta face mask on it by Anonymous, then it is a form of website defacement. So there are other solutions that can address those issues, such as a web application firewall. Okay. How do DDoS attacks affect hardware resources? Hardware resources. So I guess this is a general question. Um, I'm joined here by our Director for Technical Operations, Sherwin Torres. Sherwin,
Yes.
are we there?
Yeah, I'm here. So
Uh,
the question is how do the attacks affect hardware resources? Well, as you know, as you mentioned that DDoS attack is well known for volumetric, but because of the changes on how they are doing the denial of service, one way is to exhaust the resources of the equipment. Okay? So DDoS attack attempts to access all the hardware resources through a software bug or multiple duplicate packets that causes the exhaustion of the hardware.
mm, okay, I hope that answers the question. Okay, another question here. Among the identified motivations for DDoS attacks, what is the most prevalent in the Philippines? Among the identified motivations. So you mean this probably pertains to the slide that showed motivations such as extortion and things like that. So, well, there isn't really a way to find out, what the motives are. I mean, from a service provider standpoint, all we see are really the attacks and not really why they're happening. The reasons could range. It could be just a disgruntled employee wanting to get back to the company, or the reasons will vary, and there's really no way to find out. Although we've seen quite a bit of each of those motivations there. Okay. Does the data on DDoS attack frequency by industry also apply in the Philippines? Does the data on DDoS attack this is about the graph that showed the industry data. Let me just check that once more. Okay. Well, okay. I can say that in terms of gaming being the number one industry that's attacked, yes, definitely it's the same as it is here in the Philippines, as it is. I mean, as it is all over the world. Um, uh, the rest may vary. We really don't have that much data yet locally. Um, but definitely, at least the top three would be gaming, software, banking, government, and yeah, retailers, online shopping. So those would definitely be the top four industries that are being attacked here in the Philippines. Okay, is this solution open for integration if I have existing IPS IDS platform? I think Sherwin, this is something that you might want to answer.
Yes, definitely. We can support the integration with other network security platform like IPS and IDS. Yes, we can do that.
Oh, okay. If I subscribe to IPC DDoS mitigation service, does IPC see all my traffic or only when there's a DDoS attack? Um, well, what do you mean? I mean, I guess the question here is, what do we mean by see? I mean, yes, we see a spike in traffic, but if you're asking whether we're seeing your actual data, I think that's a different story. Sherwin, could you back me up on this?
Uh,
I don't think there's no way for us to actually see uh, the actual data or the actual.
the actual attack?
Well, we see the attack.
Yeah.
We see the attack for sure. But I think the question here is whether IPC is able to gain access into, I guess, the confidential data and things like that
Uh,
when when the traffic passes through our scrubbing center.
well, uh, it's like an ATM. No? If you have a ATM card and just put in the ATM transaction, of course, definitely we cannot get all the data. We cannot get any data that passing that get information from the customer's information. So since we do the scrubbing, okay, we just only scrub the malicious traffic and just allow the legitimate traffic.
Oh, okay. So yeah, I mean, I thought so. I mean, no, we don't see any data at all. We see the traffic, but that's about it.
Yeah, correct.
Okay. Next question: what is a zombie or botnet? Um, I can explain this, but I think Sherwin, it'd be better if you're the one to explain this. What is a zombie or a botnet?
Okay, zombie is actually it's a computer connected to the internet that a remote attacker has access and set up to forward the transmissions, including spam, uh, viruses to other computers to the internet. So basically, the purpose of this is usually either a financial gain or a malice. So that's about it.
Oh, okay.
So it's like zombie or a bot. Sometimes they call it zombie, sometimes they call it bot. But actually, it's the same.
Oh, okay. Thank you very much. There is a final question here. How much latency will it add to my website? If you're talking about your website, which is hosted locally, and I guess someone accessing it from within the country, there's very, very little latency that will be added when it's scrubbed locally as well. Um, this is the entire, I guess, reason why we put up a local scrubbing center is to avoid having to redirect local traffic outside of the country only to bring it back to a locally hosted website. So we put up a local scrubbing center to address that kind of latency issue. So yeah, I mean it's very minimal, and I guess you would need to take to do a test if you'd like. We can help you facilitate that test, and so you can actually see what the latency is from within the Philippines to through our scrubbing center and to your website. Just give us a call or let us know in the comments if you'd like us to contact you. Just send us your email address. Okay. Once subscribed, do we get access to reports regarding my account's activity? Is there an add-on cost for reports? So yes, definitely you get access to reports. You will be provided a portal.
Yes, correct.
That's right, a portal, a customer portal wherein you'll be able to log in and check, um, I guess, the status of your network and see in real time whether there's an attack. And this is free of charge. It comes with a subscription. And yeah, I mean, it's something that we don't charge for. It's a free add-on. Okay, any more questions? So we have one here who says, I'm interested. Where can I find more information regarding the service? You can check our website, ipc.ph. Click on DDoS Mitigation and you'll find out more there. Or you can send us an email at salesteam@ipc.ph. That's salesteam at ipc.ph, and we'll definitely get in touch with you and answer your questions. If you have any specific questions that pertain specifically to your network or your company, we'll be happy to help you do an assessment and propose the correct solution to address your security concerns on your website. So are there any more questions here? Okay. Okay. So I think if there are no more questions, if you have no more further questions, then thank you very much for logging on and for watching and listening. And we hope to see you again soon. We'll definitely contact you for if you have any. I mean, if you have any inquiries, definitely contact us via email or chat. Go to our website ipc.ph or email salesteam@ipc.ph. Thank you very much and signing off. Good day.